Hello and good afternoon for everybody in Europe, and I don't know where people are joining us online today. I have the pleasure to be opening up a very special session. My understanding it's the first one of its kind because whilst you will see me in this room talking, we're actually going to, in a minute, connect with a Siemens plant in the city of Fürth in Germany. And I am here representing Siemens as a managing board member for people and sustainability. So you may not be surprised if you hear the topic is people-centric production, that you see the chief people for Siemens standing here. But what is even more important is that we've got some amazing people from our manufacturing site joining us in a minute, and they will do all the talking. They have come up with the ideas that we're presenting to you today as part of the initiative together with the WEF on augmented workforce. And we're doing this helped with people from the Cambridge University and, like I said, shop floor people that you are going to meet in a minute. Now, for us as a technology company, the insight is not alien that technology and technology adoption at the end of the day is down to people. If people are not willing to adopt the technology that we would like to provide, then there's something fundamentally flawed, and we want to make sure that technology actually works in favor of people. So we're bringing to you two examples today of how technology actually helps people on the ground, on the shop floor, both in terms of operational execution support, but also how we can actually integrate learning, and in this case, micro-learning, on the shop floor where the work actually happens. And we are blessed to have had the support of the WEF and, like I said, also the fellows of Cambridge University to help us with that. And why is that so important? Because, like I said, adoption of technology at the end of the day is very much down to whether people are willing to adopt it. And then we're all facing a labor shortage crisis, so whether or not people are constantly learning on the shop floor for a rich career of 45, 50 years, and whether these jobs are actually perceived as attractive going forward is going to make all the difference for a company like us, but also for our customers. So whatever we're adopting for ourselves is obviously also very important for us in terms of how we then help our customers in turn. But enough talking from me at this point. I would like to take you to the shop floor in Fürth, where we're going to be joined by a number of great people. So let's go to the factory. So here we go to Germany, to Fürth, to our electronics site, manufacturing site. And when the door opens, you should see four splendid individuals here. There is Elisa to start with. Elisa is a fellow of the WEF and works forward with the University of Cambridge. And maybe, Elisa, before we go to the three gentlemen that are with you, maybe you can share, first and foremost, what this initiative is all about and the nature of your work and your role within it.
Sure, and thanks so much for this exciting introduction. And hello from the factory floor to Davos. Let's take a step back. If we look around us, everything that we can see has been manufactured at some point. So we live in a manufactured world. And if we want to improve this world, and I hope this is why we are all here today, then we really need to empower the people working on the shop floor, working in manufacturing to help with this. And I think this is the most exciting thing about it. The Augmented Workforce Initiative is fully committed to this cause. And what's also exciting is that we at the initiative really try to bring together a range of diverse stakeholders to jointly come together to unlock the potential of a people-centric production. So much about the initiative for now.
Now, Elisa, we have three important gentlemen there with you, and there is Alex, one of our technicians. And maybe you can wave to the audience, or you're nodding your head. That's great. Marcus, who's a team leader. Yeah, great. And then there's Arne, one of our heads of production in Fürth. And maybe Arne, let me start with you. You must be very, very excited that this initiative by the WEF has come to Fürth, and we have been able to play such a leading role in trying to help this get off the ground for the benefit of others, but of course also for the benefit of Fürth and the people down in Fürth.
Of course. And first of all, thank you for letting us talk about this important topic. So the vision of people-centric production is all about putting our employees at the center of digitalization. And over the last 2 years, we have engaged with the Augmented Workforce Initiative by the World Economic Forum in collaboration with the University of Cambridge and worked on this. So we at Siemens, we believe that we want to use technology to face the challenge of including all our employees with their individual and specific requirements. So for example, language, physical characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses. And by doing that, we are connecting our Siemens strategic priorities, like lifelong learning that you just mentioned, inclusion, diversity, with the reality of the individual jobs that we have here at the factory. So for example, with microlearning, we will be talking about this in a minute, we integrated learning into the daily routine of our employees. With the smartwatch use case, we made sure that our employees have the information when they need it and wherever they need it. So this augments them. So we can all agree on, we have lots and lots of different profiles in our factory, and these individual jobs we're talking about differ a lot from the average office environment. So things like e-learning need to take a different approach. So if you can imagine asking one of our technicians or operators to be away from the shop floor and from their stations for 1 hour, doesn't really fit their daily schedule or routine. So today, I'm here with Alex and Marcus to talk about 2 use cases. So Alex has been piloting and implementing our smartwatch use case, and Marcus has played an active role in the microlearning pilot application, which we did last year.
Yeah, and Alex, let's start right there with you and smartwatches, and maybe you can help us a little bit in terms of how generally the shop floor and the operators have engaged in this. And then secondly, what was the problem that you were trying to solve and that technology is now helping you with?
Alexander, du hattest die tolle Idee, ja, die Smartwatch in euren Arbeitsalltag zu integrieren. Kannst du hier einmal vielleicht erzählen, wie die Operators mit der Technologie interagiert haben, was das zugrunde liegende Problem war, ja, und wie es vielleicht auch heute deinen Arbeitsalltag beeinflusst?
Ja, sehr gerne. Hallo nach Davos und erstmal vielen Dank, dass wir hier zusammen über menschzentrierte Produktion sprechen. Wir hatten hier auf dem Shopfloor das Problem, dass es sehr unübersichtlich war, und so hatten wir nicht alle Maschinen immer im Blick und konnten bei Störungen nicht rechtzeitig reagieren und hatten lange Ausfallzeiten. Auch sind teilweise Kollegen mehrfach losgelaufen, was ebenfalls eine Verschwendung ist. Zum Ziel haben wir uns dann gesetzt gehabt, dass die Informationen der Anlagen zu uns kommen müssen. Das haben wir im ersten Schritt mit einer E-Mail-Benachrichtigung erreicht. Und das war dann aber nach kurzer Zeit auch nicht ganz genug und auch nicht praktikabel und effizient. So kam die Idee der Smartwatch. Die haben die Kollegen anfangs natürlich auch ein bisschen mit Skeptik betrachtet, und ja, die Geschäftsleitung hatte die gute Idee, die Uhr dürfen wir im Privaten nutzen, und somit waren eigentlich alle mit dem Boot und gut motiviert. Und durch das Ticketsystem in der Uhr, was hinterlegt ist, haben wir jetzt alle Maschinen im Blick. Die Operator wissen alle Bescheid, wer arbeitet an welcher Maschine gerade und wo ist noch was zu tun.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk here in the setting about people-centric production. At the beginning, we had the problem that it was very confusing and difficult to keep track of the variety of different machines with all the different status signals. And yeah, that caused a lot of confusion among colleagues who attends to which machine issues. And yeah, we pretty much came up with a solution that we actually need the information right in real time where we need it. So at the first step, we came up with the idea of forwarding the machine signals to our emails, which was already a great help. But we soon realized that it was not really practical, but also efficient to do this. So then we came up with an even better solution, which was forwarding the signals to a smartwatch, that we have the information right where we need it. And yeah, at first, a lot of colleagues were skeptical, but then the management also had this great idea to make it possible that the smartwatches can also be used outside the factory in our private life, which really motivated a lot of colleagues. Yeah, and in the end, what the smartwatch enabled was really a lot of more efficient coordination. So it was now a lot easier to coordinate which technician attends to which machine and what tasks are still open. Yeah, so reducing a lot of waste and inefficiency and improving collaboration.
So Anna, people proudly wear the watch, both on the shop floor for practical reasons, but also as a sign of trust and the fact that the 21st century has come to the shop floor. Any builds from you?
I think here what we need to mention is wearing the watch proud also implicates that the people are feeling that they can go forward with technology and then that they drive technology. So they feel as innovators here in our plant. And I mean, we had so much good feedback that we're definitely taking this on and that we actually have plans to even scale up this pilot and this application that we're currently running.
Very good. Well, then let's move to the second area. So if this was an augmentation around execution support, let's now move to the area of learning, or in this case, micro-learning. And this is immensely important for us on the shop floor, but at Siemens in general, because if we want to make sure that people remain relevant in terms of their skill set for a 45, 50-year career, we need to find ways of training the muscle of learning. And the more we can do that close to where work actually happens, and the more we can do this actually in bite-sized chunks, if you like, so that it doesn't become such a huge barrier to leave the shop floor, go and log onto a computer, sit there for an hour. You guys have actually had some really good ideas. And Marcus, this is where I'm turning to you, because you have been very instrumental with your input in terms of designing this.
Markus, du hattest eine wirklich aktive Rolle in diesem Thema des Microlearnings. Magst du vielleicht einfach mal erzählen, was dir am meisten an dem Projekt gefallen hat?
Also auch ein Hallo von meiner Seite. Also bei uns war es so bisher, dass wir einfach das Lernen auf dem Shopfloor extrem schwer war. Wir hatten immer irgendwelche Unterbrechungen, wurden gestört beim Lernen, weil wir immer irgendwie eine halbe Stunde Zeit finden mussten, ne, wo wir ungestört wirklich lernen konnten. Das war einfach nicht so möglich. Was wir dann gemacht haben, ist, wir haben in der Lean-Produktion einfach ein Projekt gestartet, wo wir die Lerninhalte in 5 Minuten Nuggets verpackten. Und es war für uns einfach wesentlich einfacher, irgendwie 5 Minuten zu finden, wo wir aktiv lernen konnten, wo wir uns auch konzentrieren konnten, wo wir auch weniger unterbrochen wurden beim Lernen. Was uns extrem viel Spaß gemacht hat, auch den Kollegen, war einfach, dass wir selbstbestimmt waren in dem Zeitrahmen, wo wir lernen konnten, was wir lernen wollten auch. Und das Beste war, wir hatten dabei Spaß und wir konnten interaktiv mitarbeiten auch bei den einzelnen Learning Nuggets.
So also thank you from my side. So until this point, we had the problem that it was really difficult to integrate e-learning into our daily life. So it was very difficult to take half an hour to sit down without a distraction to learn. And it was also not very interactive. So this is why we came up with the micro-learning. And with the micro-learning, we put a lot of content, a lot of knowledge from the topic of lean production into learning nuggets of about 5 minutes that were a lot easier to integrate into our daily life and conduct on a continuous basis. Yeah, and what this enabled for us was that, we could be a lot more self-determined and independent when and what we wanted to learn. And in the end, this was what made it a lot more fun. And also because it was so interactive, this was a great new learning experience.
Yeah, wonderful. I love this, and it's really breaking down barriers for us in terms of learning. And Elisa and team, we said let's make this a two-way conversation, and I have asked questions from myself and of course on behalf of the audience. But let's do it the other way around. What are some of the considerations that you guys have from your side that you want to raise?
Markus, Alexander, habt ihr an dieser Stelle Fragen, die ihr gern Judith oder auch Arne stellen würdet? Vielleicht Markus, du zuerst.
Ja, und zwar meine Frage, was würdet ihr den Menschen sagen, die einfach Angst haben vor der Digitalisierung, weil sie es eher sehen, dass sie uns ersetzen, anstatt dass wir das dazulernen? Und wie geht es bei uns weiter mit Microlearning am Standort?
So, what would you say to all of those colleagues that might be really afraid of the digitalization and automation, being afraid of maybe being replaced instead of supported by technology? And the second question is, what are actually the next steps when it comes to microlearning?
Yeah, I'll make a start from my end, and then Anna, I think you're gonna chip in from your perspective as well. Now, like I said, as Siemens, we have a very vested interest in this for ourselves, but also in terms of then helping our customers on that exact same journey. And we know that learning is like training a muscle. So the idea of really doing this on an almost everyday basis is what we think is going to reduce the barriers. Keeping it on the shop floor is going to reduce the barriers. When we had a chance to interact before we actually went live here in Davos, we actually said, isn't there even a way of combining the two ideas? Is there a way of making something like a smartwatch also a way of learning? I don't know whether that idea is going to fly or not, but we will continue to build on the great ideas that people have and are very willing to support them and really want to scale them. And another conversation that we had is how can we build skills that are not just functional technical, but also how can we invest in skills through microlearning, through the nuggets that are more in the area of creativity, problem solving, so that people find it easier that whatever comes next, they actually have strategies for learning and they have strategies for approaching that. So, but Arne, please do build from your end.
So, to the question of microlearning. So, since we strive to become a lighthouse for people-centric production here in Fürth, we are strengthening our efforts. And for 2023, so we have planned to actually roll out microlearning across the whole factory. And then also subsequently getting experiences on how to do it in a large scale, and then even go to other Siemens plants and roll it out there and share our learnings with them.
Good.
Yeah, and
no, you go, Elisa, you go.
Ja, vielleicht an dieser Stelle, Alexander, möchtest du auch die Chance nutzen und hier eine Frage an Judith oder Arne stellen?
Sehr gerne. Wir haben noch viele spannende Ideen, wo aber die Zusammenarbeit mit der Lieferkette voraussetzt. Wie können wir die Zusammenarbeit mit der Lieferkette noch besser, noch effektiver gestalten?
So, we have a lot of ideas for improvement and innovation from our daily work. But for this, we need a lot more collaboration across the supply chains, across organization, but also within the organization. Yeah, maybe you have any ideas on that.
Oh, I will happily give this one to Arne.
Yes, and it's a great question. I think we can all agree on this. So, Alex, I think the answer is it starts with you. Yeah. It's the operators, it's people like Marcus and you. If you come forward with a problem and with an idea of how to improve things and make things better, then that really drives innovation. And we have shown this with these two powerful use cases that this works. So at Siemens, we have a lot of structures to make voices heard, but we are constantly improving and reminding ourselves that we need your input, and ultimately it's you driving innovation.
And we will be happy to do our bit to scale all good ideas, because that's the big thing for us. That's the big interest that I have as well. You know, how can we make sure the good ideas actually travel? But I think now is time to open up the floor here and online as well in terms of your questions to the team on the ground or to myself. Is there anybody in the room who would like to start, or how do we connect online? Is online also able to ask questions, or just from this room? Just from this room. Okay. Anybody from this room? Sorry, everybody online. We'll pick it up separately if we can. Please, could you wait for the microphone so the guys, the folks on the ground can hear you as well? Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thank you for connecting live from the factory. This was great. You just mentioned that we'd love to see great ideas travel. I'd love to hear about your strategies in scaling the usage of these technologies across factories at Siemens.
Yeah, so there's a number of things that we're doing to make sure that things scale. Up and reskilling is a huge priority for us, and we approach this from a number of different angles. We've got a methodology that we call Next Work, where we actually go into plants like Fürth, or we go to certain functions or areas that we know from a strategic perspective need to transform from a skill set perspective. And we really try and look at what is the capability that we see is needed for the next 3 to 5 years. How much of that are we actually able to segue internally through investments? And then really also, you know, when we go in, do that with a view to where else might that apply. The other thing that we have very successfully applied from a skilling perspective is our professional education organization. You may be familiar with the notion, particularly in a manufacturing or technical services environment, with the German apprenticeship idea. So we know how certain job profiles have actually developed over time. The classic is, you know, whoever was a mechanic 10 years ago and actually really needs to be a mechatronic tomorrow. We know exactly what that skill transition is, and we've developed programs, a CTech Skills Academy, to really support exactly that. And we have friends on the ground. Yeah? So there's obviously a network of our manufacturing sites. There is also our partners are, from the Works Council side, the social partners that we work with. We all have a vested interest for these ideas to travel. So we're basically using all those channels to make sure that we can amplify what needs amplification. Any bills that you would have? Or shall we go to the next question? Maybe we go to the next question.
Hello, thank you for this talk. It's super inspiring, and I'm always amazed when I see these new factories. I don't know if you chose a specific location for the camera, but everything's clean, it's not noisy, everything's beautiful. And I think that's very important, especially in the context of like the whole idea of deglobalization, reshoring, nearshoring, because also in the beginning of the presentation, we could see some images, some kind of aerial images of the factories, and they seem to be located in cities, like close to where people live and near urban centers. So granted that this conversation is in the context of factories for people, right? Or people in the idea of thinking of a factory. How much is Siemens thinking about the location of the factory in terms of people also, especially again in the context of nearshoring and the possibility of having to open new facilities?
Arne, do you want to take that, or do you want me to take that?
I think we can combine it if you start.
Do you want to start?
I can start. So I can speak for Fürth and our manufacturing network, because Fürth factory actually is part of a manufacturing network. And picking you up on what you said, we did indeed select a specific camera location because we think it resembles the factory quite good. But yes, in electronics manufacturing, we are in a clean environment, so this works for us. And yes, our factory, our site is in Fürth, and it has been there since the 1950s. And we actually see this as a strategic advantage, also when it comes to getting employees, getting talents, attracting talents, because it's all about location there. And similar things apply to our other factories in our network.
And maybe two builds from my side. I mean, to your point, Arne, in countries like Germany, factories tend to have a history, yeah, and tend to have historically grown. But of course, we do have greenfield factories that we build for ourselves or for and with customers. And there's two big considerations. One is how do you bring in digitalization and decarbonization ideas from the very beginning? Hugely important for many of our customers these days. And of course, the accessibility of talent is huge. And when we do things like Next Work, we actually see huge business cases, because in areas where you don't have good accessibility for the labor market, you know, the business case for actually investing into your own people and investing in technology, automation, is very important. And if you think about, you know, geostrategically, the US, most of Europe, China is aging. We have aging populations, so automation has long stopped being a threat, but a necessity for people. From a sustainability perspective, this becomes more important as well. So therefore, that nice marriage between people, skills, and technology, I think, plays out in both ways.
Hello. That was a very inspiring presentation. Thank you. A question I had, a technical question. Have you tried working with assisted reality through wearables to give instructions in a case where it goes beyond an hour? You know, and I think there's always been a problem about human fatigue when they use wearables for an extended period of time. Is that something you've tried out at Siemens?
Anna? Would you have a response to that?
Yeah, I think we can answer this from the factory, since we have tried applications, and I mean, we made similar experience with this, but it's probably even more interesting to hear from Elisa as an expert in these technologies, what their take is in the larger scale.
So what I think is really exciting, and we do have a couple of examples here in Fürth, is assisted reality in a sense of augmented reality projections on the workstation. So that doesn't really concern to wearables, but more on like static projection on the workplace to help in cases where cognitive load and stress might be really high if there's a very high product variability. And I think this is one thing that has been actually quite matured over the years, and those are use cases that are becoming more and more popular. I think in the case of wearables, I think the future still has to show, well, with head-mounted devices, if this is really something that will scale. And with that, in terms of time, maybe back to Davos.
Yeah, and maybe one last sentence, because I think the good news is that a lot of the technology that we've now used from an augmented workforce perspective exists. Yeah? So therefore, you know, these wearables exist. So that's actually easy adoption. Where, of course, we have gone, you know, to the completely other end of the spectrum, given that we're part of a technology group of companies that want to, you know, shape and design the industrial metaverse. This is where when we really use digital twin technology with good visualization in terms of really then helping customers also design either products or entire processes, you know, very, very realistically in terms of the visual aids, to make sure that we really invest most of the thinking and shaping time in the virtual world before something actually becomes a reality on the ground. So this is, I think, the complete other end of the spectrum, but not necessarily yet reality on the shop floor itself for daily production. Yeah. Good, I think with that, we're coming to a close. Thank you so much to the team in Fürth. Thank you, Elisa, for being such a wonderful guide and facilitator. And thank you very much to everybody in this room.